Hello, welcome to day 31 of flow posting for January 2026. We have made it. I pretty quickly gave up all my other habits, but we have done a daily video, so that's very exciting. If you've been on the journey up until now, thank you. If you're just joining the journey now, thank you also. The point is, we're here to jump on and tune into ourselves and notice when subconscious patterns aren't serving us and energetic patterns aren't serving us, and choose differently for ourselves. It's hot right now. Anyway. And I would just like to celebrate that even though my other habits fell to the wayside, in case you weren't here, I was going to add a habit a day, and I started doing that and very quickly started getting overwhelmed because that's too much. And anyway, paired it back to just showing up here, making a daily YouTube video, helping you tune into you, talking about different aspects of coaching and things you can do. Good questions to ask yourself, really. I'm here to ask good questions for you. And anyway, we made it to 31 days, and that was the plan. Now, I'm going to continue doing this daily because that's kind of the point, to create a habit. But wouldn't it be good and maybe slightly more achievable at this point to maybe add another habit for the entirety of February, and a habit that is just one more habit. This is already just happening on its own, so yay. But I have to choose what that habit is, so I will come back with an announcement tomorrow. If you need to or would like to solidify and commit to a habit for yourself for a month, please join me. Highly recommend. I feel really good about how this uploading daily business is tracking. As much as, again, like, my audience is small, I hope that whoever is watching gets what they need or finds out something for themselves that they didn't know or didn't know to ask, because there's so much that goes on that we can't possibly move past, that might be running the show, that creating blocks for us, mental, physical, energetic. But if we don't know what questions to ask, and we don't take the time to do the work and ask the questions, we will never get past those blocks. Sometimes you'll trip and fall, and a solution or environment or situation will change, and you'll naturally move past those blocks. But do you want to have to wait around for those moments to maybe happen, or do you want to do something about it? It's very sweaty today. I'm just having a sweat moustache. Anyway, so yeah, just very excited that we have made it, and I wanted to celebrate anyone that wants to change their habits, to be honest, because there's plenty of people that don't want to change their habits, and they're showing up and they're hurting people around them and systems around them and places and things around them, and it's just very toxic. So the very idea that you'd even want to change your habits, even just for yourself, that's the kind of energy I want more of in the world, Let's work towards improving ourselves, filling ourselves up first, so that we can go into the world and not be a hurt person hurting people. And just because somebody hurt you doesn't mean that you don't get to heal that and take your power back, but also choose. You still need to choose not to continue to perpetrate that hurt behaviour that you might, if you don't look at it, just keep repeating, even though it hurt you in the first place, because that's what you learnt as a way to show up, and maybe you don't even realise you're doing it, and maybe just having the moment to have these questions asked might help you realise that, oh, I have started doing the same thing that I had done to me, that I was not, that was not a good thing, you know, in whatever capacity that means. And again, it's just inviting that curiosity, because you can make yourself very wrong about that, and you can make yourself miserable because you feel like a bad person because of XYZ. And I think my invitation, if that is something that comes up for you, is to just, choose curiosity. Don't be so hard on yourself. If there's accountability to be taken, responsibility to be claimed, please do so, so you can clear your field and heal anything that needs to be healed with yourself, but with any parties involved as well. And then you get to move forward, and you get to grow through it, and hopefully show up in this world in a better way that's going to help people and not hurt them. And if none of this resonates, that's totally fine too. I just don't believe in throwing someone out because of something that they did in the past, to a degree. If it's a continued chosen pattern, that's a different case. I think you have to actually see someone doing the work to change, to showing up and taking accountability for the hurt they've caused, and being responsible for their own consequences of their actions. So didn't mean to get on to such a heavy topic, but here we are. You never know what's coming out of my mouth, but in other news, like, I got some fun stuff for a good deal today. This little fun guy. I can't see it very well in this, but it's got this pretty like pink purple kind of gemstone. It's like kind of like a star. Kind of reminds me of my earrings. So yeah, it's very fun. And then I fashioned it because it was just a pendant or a bracelet thing or something. Anyway, I fashioned it onto my amethyst necklace, though it doesn't quite. I'm being crafty. Anyway, it's fun to be crafty. For many years I've worked in costume, and we'd often have jewellers on our costume crew, and I'd see what they do and the magic they made and think, that's cool, I would love to learn how to do that. And there's definitely lots of skills that I don't have within that realm, but I do know how to fix an O-ring, which is like the tiny little circular rings that make up a chain, for instance. Depends on what kind of chain you got, but there's different types. Anyway, this necklace was actually broken. It was mine, and I just hadn't got around to sitting down with my tweezers and my good eyesight to put it back together, and it was actually so easy, but I managed to put this on it at the same time. So you can fix things, and they can keep going and be useful and pretty, and that's what I love, is because this was a piece that I think had fallen off something else. It ended up, I got it for $1. It's so good. It's sterling silver. So anyway, because of that, I now get to create my own piece of jewellery out of it, and I love that, because you get crafty fun times in amongst the retail therapy for like barely any money. So yay for that. I do have a few projects now to fix, so maybe I'm just like a part-time jeweler. No, not really, but there is there is like a lot that can be so easily fixed. For instance, I've also got this bracelet, $5. She just missing a gemstone, but it's not that noticeable, you know. So sterling silver bracelet for $5, like, why wouldn't I, you know? I'm pretty sure there's emeralds too, like, maybe not the highest grade emeralds, but hey, they're pretty. I like them. Anyway, don't know why I'm talking about all this, but my point is sometimes, you know what, I can loop this back around. I can do this. So sometimes you can think something is rubbish, trash, or, you know, not worth much anymore. But one person's trash is another person's treasure, you know? That old adage. And if we link it back to what I was talking about earlier, if you are feeling like something you did is unforgivable, or it's hard to get over, or you'll just hate or even very much dislike yourself for something you've done in the past, no matter how past or how recent, and maybe you are just not much enjoying your own company, for instance, and you just think, oh, I'm just not good enough, I don't feel like, well, maybe you're not even thinking those conscious thoughts, but you just got this feeling of yuckiness where you're like, oh, I'm worthless, people don't want to be around me, like, they don't want to hang out with me, I'll never find someone to love, or to love me, like, whatever's coming up. You might be feeling like you're kind of the mess, you're the trash, you're not capable of being worthy, and all that. I'm just here to call you out. All you need to do is exist to be inherently worthy of what you want to create in this world. And the more that you can show yourself in small ways that you're worthy, and show up as someone who feels worthy, the more that you will be able to create the life that you desire to have. And what I love about having worked in film and TV for so long in costume is that as much as I have not been the artisan that's like making the jewelry or making the costumes, for instance, I know how to look after it and fix it, sometimes even break it down, but like with a beautiful reverence for the artistry of breaking something down. So we actually have a department within costume called breakdown or art finishing, and I like that those two names kind of tell the story here, because you're breaking down the costumes so that they look worn as the character would, you know, have gone through whatever they've gone through as per the story to have those costumes look that way, and it helps tell the story of the character at a glance through the costume. And art finishing will quite often, you'll come in and will paint in like things like sweat stains and mud and dirt, and you got to think about like where have they been, they've picked up this colour, this brand of mud, all this fun stuff. It's very creative, and I think many costume nerds like me, especially anyone that's worked in film in costume, we really appreciate the artistry that goes into it, because it takes hours, days, weeks, depending on what you're trying to break down, to make something really look beautifully worn. Best case in point, it's like a lot of the behind the scenes of like Lord of the Rings, the original trilogy. They show really great examples of how, you know, Aragorn's costume it's just been beautifully like broken down to show that he's lived in it and fixed it on the road, and it tells a story through it, but also like it reads as quite black on screen, but there's actually this beautiful deep licorice colour that they use to have created that, but they would have done camera tests and everything to make sure that, to see how it reads on camera with the lighting and everything. And you know, you don't glance at it when you're watching the movies and think that's a deep green. No, you think it's black, and it is black. It reads as black, but then it's got more nuance, more story, more life to it because of that colour tinge down. And that's also partially to do with how the camera reads colours. And then another example is Saruman. His robes, he's one of the wizards, if you're not familiar with Lord of the Rings. He's got these beautiful, he's Saruman the White, but like he's got these beautiful like white robes, but they're actually like many levels of cream, like off-white, like, because if you put bright white on the camera, it just looks glaring and it looks bad. Like, that's a film and TV tip for you there, costume tip. So they had to add layers, and then they had lots of texture in the material. And anyway, it would have been so much work, so many hours of work by so many artists, so many hands touching that to create the piece first. They would look all fresh and new, and then go to the breakdown department, the art finishing department, to break it all down. And that's kind of its journey. That's its story. And then it tells the story. You can just glance at it and see a level of what this has gone through. But he's also, Saruman's really a great example of someone, like, it's been worn for a long time, so it's like getting a little threadbare, but it's been well looked after. So like, it's like he's got a pride in his presentation. He's like the head of the wizarding I don't know, council. I have read Lord of the Rings. I'm not just a movie watcher. Yeah, anyway, he becomes a villain, but go watch Lord of the Rings if you haven't, like, what are you doing? Anyway, seriously, that's a choice at this point to not have seen Lord of the Rings, and I'm not sure I agree with your choices, to be honest. But I would say that I'm a Kiwi that works in film and TV. So yeah, anyway, and I'm also just a nerd for fantasy. So anyway, there is so much story that's shown through this art form we call breakdown or art finishing, to tell the story. And short story long, as goes with me, there is a magic. There's a magic in that story, in that breakdown, in the mud and the dirt, or the threadbareness. And without all that, the story wouldn't be what it is. It would look like a cookie cutter, clean cut version of, the Hallmark movies that just don't seem to quite have the muchness that you're expecting, or whatever it is. You can tell the films and TV sets didn't have the budget for much of a breakdown department. Like, they'll always try and do something, but we have people going for days with sanders and cheese graters and other things to rip the clothing apart and make it a bit more worn in. It's crazy. And yet most people on the street, if they saw something like that on a rack, or a friend was trying to give them some old clothes, they'd be like, oh no, that's junk, throw that out. And yeah, so bringing it back to you, it's like, are you going to throw yourself out like junk, or are you just going to find the right space and place and people that are going to appreciate the story, and the golden core of who you are and what you have to bring, even if you haven't bought it yet, even if all you're bringing is just your presence. Like, that's enough. You just being alive, being present here. You're worthy. And if you're like, this sounds like a bunch of bypassing crap, and like, what do you mean I'm just worthy? Like, that's a nice thing to say, but I don't believe it. Well, again, invite you to be curious about that. Why wouldn't you be worthy if you're a spiritual being that is now on this plane having a human experience? I mean, there's so much we do not understand about the world and the universe and everything. What if you're actually just fucking magical? But because you keep telling yourself that you're not, that you're the junk, you're the trash, or you're just not good enough. Maybe you're not that mean to yourself, you're not quite using that language, but any version of that. It's also just noticing your language when you're feeling a bit down. It's like, well, how have I been speaking to myself? Am I feeling a bit down, or am I berating myself, or, insert thing here, but like, being late. It's a great one that I'm really great at berating myself for. I have worked really hard to become better at that. I mean, ideally better at being on time. That I have actually pretty good at going to work lately, because I have to catch so many buses and trams and such that I've learnt to just leave a bit more time, but I'm still sometimes running for the tram, the first one, in order to make it in time to not have to freak out at the other end. But yeah, I for so long would apologise, but like in a really awful energy. So I'd run in a few minutes late. Always just managed to do like 2 to 3 minutes late. I don't know how. It's actually quite impressive how it was always 2 to 3 minutes to work. If you're one of my mates, like we're meeting for a coffee, yeah, it might take me a bit longer than that sometimes. Anyway, but yeah, somehow magically just 2 to 3 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes late for work, but bang on the 3, pretty good at that. And you can only say sorry so much before it gets really fucking boring for those around you. And I just found myself showing up feeling awful, feeling bad energy, like just being in a bad energy for at least the first half an hour, if not longer. Just being like, and having it derail my whole day. And then I thought, I don't know where exactly I learned it, maybe a podcast or something. They said, instead of saying like sorry, just say thanks for your patience. Do your best to obviously be on time and all that, but coming from a place of gratitude rather than like, oh, sorry, and and then like hanging on to that, like you're the victim of your own choices that even led you to be late, and then you're acting like it's a weird energy and you're not focused on actually doing your job, for instance. That ain't no fun for no one around you, and then no one really enjoys any of that every morning, or most mornings. And anyway, I learnt to not do that, and even if I was late, there's times where the lateness was a bit more serious, and I would own that, and I would apologise, but I would then let it go, get on with things. Just wouldn't allow that energy to stick to me, and that has made such a difference such a difference in my life, and I'm sure it's made a difference for anyone around me too. I wish I was not time blind and I could just get up earlier and leave earlier, but I have struggled with this my entire life, so yeah. And I don't come from a place that I'm like consciously being like, oh, my time's more important than yours, like disrespecting people. It's just that I really space cadet very easily. And it's very much an ADHD trait, and I have different versions of me that show up in different times of the day. For instance, evening me is like, oh, we can get up at this time and do all this and get ready and eat breakfast and all that, and then morning me is like, turn off the alarm, go back to sleep, no thanks, oh, okay, now we actually have to get up, we better rush. And then we, run late. Literally run late. Anyway, that's something that I made myself feel like junk and worthless about for very long. And then I'm really grateful that I found the way, and it took a while to find the strength to reframe that for myself and not see myself as a complete arsehole and worthless because of this pattern that I struggle with. And that has meant that I've been able to show up in a much better energy and probably attract a lot better opportunities to myself since then, to be honest. So yeah, my point is, you need to believe that you're worthy. And if you don't yet, how can you just get like a step closer towards that? Maybe pick a word like, I'm okay. Like if you feel like you're down in the dumps and you're not okay and you're feeling awful and all that, like, well, oh, bless her. Then, you know, you're not probably going to believe that you feel worthy and wonderful. So, you know, you got to work your way up to that and do that for a few weeks. And then, you know, if you do feel like you've actually stepped up to that, like, I'm okay, from I'm so depressed, or I feel awful, or I hate myself, or just this sick energy you might have. You know, don't make it such a jump that it becomes overwhelming. Is my point, and your mess is actually your message. It's a fun phrase taught to me by my coach, and I love owning that because I'm a messy gal. So if somebody just has everything clean and tidy all the time, they show up, is that actually that inspiring to you? I mean, it can be, but like, what if they're showing up with grit? They're just getting it done. There's shit everywhere sometimes, but they show up and do the thing, and they create the art, and you know, I think that's more inspiring. They're not trying to be perfect about it, because what even is perfect? What even is perfect? Anyway, your mess is your message. My mess is definitely my message. Yeah, okay. We have talked for long enough now. But yeah, let's believe that we're worthy and show up in those ways. And, you know, look at the messiness as part of the art of life. I knew I needed to pull it in somehow. That's what it is. Let your messiness be the art of your life. Yeah. Love that. Okay, we'll leave it there. I'll see you tomorrow for February. Oh my god, it's my birthday month. Very exciting.